So, hello, and welcome to Truth You Can Wake Up To. I'm Samuel William, on the 19th of February, 2012. Now, just a very quick one today, just a very short episode, because I wanted to just share with you something that I had discovered. When I went to university, quite a few years back now, in my second year of study, I did a course called Enhanced Cultural Studies. And in that course, we were taught the power of a certain technique to analyse speeches, essays, news articles, and stuff like that. It was a very simple technique to try and derive the meaning from things, the underlying meaning, because a lot of grand speeches and stuff will use psychological techniques to try and push through a strong message. One of these is the repetition of certain words. Now, by taking a speech, let's say, for example, Martin Luther King, his most famous speech, the I Have a Dream speech, you take that and you put every single word in that speech into alphabetical order. Now, when I was at university, unfortunately, we had to do that by hand, and it would take hours and hours and hours sitting in the computer room, typing away, drinking coffee, and eyes glazing over. Thankfully, nowadays, online, you can actually use a little program to alphabetize big speeches, which is very handy. So I've done, as an example, the Martin Luther King speech, and you'll see that by far, if you forget all the ins and the ises and the ofs and the thes, which repeat themselves endlessly, if you look in here, you can see certain things, like the word freedom, for example, is repeated again and again and again and again and again. The word free, everyone, every, and all of this kind of stuff. And you'll notice that when you do this technique, that little strings of words kind of link together that still give you the sort of overriding meaning. You can still get the meaning from reading the text in this way. For example, made, magnificent, majestic, make manacles, many marched, marvellous material, and all of this kind of stuff. Now, of course, when you go and hear a speech or you watch something on television and they're talking about it, you get the overall idea, but subliminally, all of these words go in. The grand meaning and the thing you take away from it is actually based on all of these words going into your subconscious and being sort of filtered around. So, a couple of days ago, that very fine and upstanding citizen of the United Kingdom, William Hague, and I base that opinion of him on his Wikipedia article, of course, decided to make a speech or a press release about Iran and about the possibility of a Cold War, and that if Iran got nuclear weapons, then the rest of the countries around them, God forbid, would want nuclear weapons, and we couldn't have that sort of stuff happening. So he made quite a landmark speech. Lots of different press cottoned onto it and wrote an article about it. So when I saw there was lots of different articles, I thought, how can I analyse these different articles to see which of our press are trying to brainwash us? So I used this technique. Now, what I did is I went through lots and lots of different articles. I looked for articles that had the same column inches, similar amounts of words in them, and I tried to go for a sort of a range of different sources. What I've used here is the Telegraph, that's the Daily Telegraph. I've used ITV, which is independent television from the United Kingdom. I've used RT, which is Russia Today, and of course I used the BBC, the British Broadcasting Corporation. Now, the interesting thing about this is in a lot of these articles, the word nuclear, of course, is repeated several times. Now, that's sort of what I discovered about this. Now, in the Telegraph, the word nuclear was repeated 6 times. Okay? In the article from ITV, the word nuclear was repeated 8 times. In Russia Today, in their article, they repeated nuclear 8 times, and quite interestingly said Israel a lot more than any of the others. But in the BBC, they mentioned the word nuclear 22 times. Now, this is not a very long article, and if you care to, you can go and work out the percentage of how many words are in it and how many of the. It must have been every fifth word or something. They wrote the word nuclear. So when I realised that, I actually went back and thought, okay, well, the BBC are using nuclear a lot. Let's go back and let's see how many times they've been using it leading up to that article. And that's pretty interesting as well, because there's a strong graduation. Now, on the 11th of February, their article about Iran, they mentioned nuclear 10 times. On the 15th of February, they mentioned the word nuclear 12 times. On the 18th of February, which is when this article with William Hague was, 22 times they mentioned the word nuclear. And today, when I looked at their article, it mentioned it 18 times. So sort of peaked on the 18th of February, starting to go down again. No doubt will peak again. Now, on the RT article, Russia Today, they mentioned Iran or Iranian 12 times. They mention the word Israel 10 times. Okay? In the BBC one, they mention the word Iran 32 times, and they mention the word Israel 4 times. So it's starting to see what is happening to the subconscious mind when you're reading this BBC article. You also have a rather interesting little chain of words right at the beginning that says, Allies also ambassador ambitions among an analysis and answer apparent appears approach April. So subconsciously, the BBC is saying that the answer to the ambitions of the Allies is approaching in April. Of course, this could be meaningless, or it could have meaning. Who knows? It's just quite interesting. You should try this yourself with a few articles. I just wish I had the time to look into this a little bit more deeply, spend some time analysing it, maybe articles from different periods, maybe leading up to the Iraq War. You'd be able to spot patterns in the scientific way that the propaganda emanating from the BBC actually works. So that's all for now. Just a short one, as I said. In the meantime, of course, look at my back catalogue. Not too many of them, but you can click on S. Williamism at the bottom of this video. You can subscribe there, of course. And it always helps the video rankings if you click the thumbs up on this video. That would be very nice indeed. So until next time, I've been Samuel William, and this has been Truth You Can Wake Up To.